Hello and welcome to another Win Daily Sports Show. My name is Michael Brazil. I got my man Ghost here with me, and we are breaking down the NBA December 29th slate for DraftKings and a couple of sports betting as well. Ghost, man, how you doing today?
Absolutely beautiful day to be alive, brother. How are you doing?
Beautiful, beautiful day to be alive, my man. I appreciate you and everything you do, Ghost Man, and I appreciate you helping me make money and helping all the beautiful, wonderful subscribers of the HNB Media and the Win Daily Sports team out there. If you haven't already, make sure to smash that like button, as those YouTubers like to say. If you haven't already, also go to windailysports.com/chat. You get 7 free days in our expert Discord chat. It's just an instant messenger chat where we talk about sports and help you win some money. Please ask us all the questions you have. We are here for questions. That is our literal favorite part of this. No joke. That's at least my favorite part. Is that your favorite part? One of your favorite parts?
That is my favorite part.
Yeah, it's my favorite part. So please ask us all the questions you got, guys and girls. We are here to help you win money. We are here to do that through DraftKings. We have the sportsbook up. We have the DraftKings fantasy site up, and we are here, and we're going to do this one last time. It's almost the end of the year, so make sure to treat yourself. $150 gets you 7 months. Everything you need in Win Daily Sports. We have the projection model, which Ghost made and has absolutely been crushing it. We have the expert chat. We have all the articles. We have everything that you need to make money playing NBA DFS. So go buy it. $150, all 7 months. Oh, by the way, you just get everything else on the site included. So that's not too bad of a deal. So make sure to go take advantage of that. We got Stoby in the chat already. He appreciates the heck out of me. Thank you, Stoby. I appreciate the heck out of you too, man. So Ghost Man, let's bring it up. Let's rock with it. Let's roll with it. We got a huge slate tonight. We got a 10 gamer. Should be fun. We have some late night hammers. We have some stuff going on. We're really excited for it. I know we just had a 13-game slate, so thankfully we don't have to do that again right now, but 10 is still a lot, and as you said before, we got to start planting our flag, so we'll go game by game. We'll give the people what they want, but do you have any secret weapons? Yeah? Oh, yes. All right. Let's just get into it then. Let's get into it. We have to figure out places to plant our flag. This first game, we have the New York Knicks. We have the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers are favored by 3.5. Cavs and the Knicks just had actually like pretty nice wins the other night. This game is over a total of 215, which is very, very low. Ghost Man, how do you feel about this game?
It's going to be drawing a ton of ownership. And every time these Knicks play these Cavs or the Knicks or the Cavs are always the first game. There's barely any defense that's played, even though the totals are low. It continuously draws so much ownership, and that's something that you could gain leverage over the field by simply fading a couple of these early games. So people do not like to stay up till 1 a.m. to see how their lineup did. They want to know how many points that their lineup finished with, and that's not a possibility when you end up playing a bunch of guys that started at 10 p.m. Eastern, right? So these early games often draw a ton of ownership. This one, there are a couple of valuable pieces, beginning with the one and only Andre Drummond right at the top at 8,700. And on the flip side, you have Mitch Robinson, who is drawing so much ownership, especially on FanDuel, over at $5,000. I do have a quick pivot at the position there for our tournament plays, of course, because you never want to be able to play a center, specifically in that $5,000 range. That's going to end up being 30 to 40%. It's so easy to end up being different than the field in that case. So he's somebody that's definitely viable, but make sure that you end up hedging that in the sense that you cover your bases, because Andre Drummond's going to absolutely posterize him in the paint tonight. And Mitch Rob is somebody that gets into foul trouble very quickly. This guy just goes out there wailing his arms on defense, trying to get 6 blocks a game, and it gets him into trouble. So that may work against somebody that's smaller than him, but when Andre Drummond's backing up on you, it's going to be a problem tonight.
When Andre Drummond is backing up on you, I know Larry Nance Jr. has been kind of a darling of the Win Daily Sports family for a little bit. How are you feeling about him tonight?
I like it. At 6,300 on DK, it's a little bit too expensive for my taste. That definitely a key piece of our cash game pool as well. The floor is going to be there anytime he he ends up playing for Kevin Love. He definitely gets his on both offensive and defensive end. And now we have news that Kevin Love is slated to miss 3 to 5 weeks. So if you don't play Larry Nance Jr. tonight, don't you worry about that. You're going to have ample opportunity to do so over the next month because Kevin Love is likely not back till early February. So Larry Nance on FanDuel is a stone cold lock in our cash games, only at $5,500. And on top of that, he's slotting in at the small forward position over there, which is always thin over on FanDuel with how they use their position eligibility. So I'm not going to get into too much detail on what I think about that. But hey, take advantage of it. He's only $5,500 on FanDuel. But on DraftKings, you do have to be aware that this is a guy, for him to put up 50 DraftKings points, he has to virtually triple double. He's not that guy that's going to drop 40 raw points in a game. For him to be able to get 50 plus DK points, you're going to need him to really be involved in all aspects of both the offense and their defense as well. So New York does turn over the ball a ton. It's somewhere that he can get there, but at 6,300, it's something that I am being a little cautious about in my tournament play. One of the key guys for our cash game lineups, though.
You'll love to see it. All right, let's move on. We have another game. Golden State Warriors, the Detroit Pistons. The Warriors are favored by 4.5 on the road. Over-under sits at 227. Now, you've told me multiple times, Warriors are going to be great. The Warriors are going to be great. The Warriors are going to be great. The Warriors only beat the Bulls by a point yesterday or 2 nights ago. Not the best look. Now, it's early in the season, and I'm going to give you some time, and we'll see what happens, but are you a little worried about the Warriors yet, Ghostman?
Not in the least.
No. Okay.
Not in the least.
That's all I needed.
Am I worried for the Warriors? No. Am I worried about Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre's play right now? Yes.
How many threes they've missed like a combined 20-something threes over 3 games?
They've combined to go 2 for 21, 2 for 31. Excuse me.
Love to see it. Love to see it.
Andrew Wiggins is if he was $3,400, I probably wouldn't even play him. It's that bad. So you want nothing to do with this Warriors offense other than Steph Curry. DK acted very quickly in pricing up James Wiseman. I've been saying it. They're not going to run this guy into the ground. And you saw that last game where, and it was like that the first couple of games too. He got really lucky. That opening day against Brooklyn, he got a bunch of garbage time. He finished with a respectable amount of points, and that was with him dropping 12 points, 2 rebounds, and a block in the last 8 minutes of the game when Brooklyn was up by 90 points. Take that out of there, and the guy drops 10 DK. The other games, same thing. He's not somebody that right now, with the stage of their rotation, that I'm willing to spend 5,900 on. Not even in my player pool at all. Steph Curry 9,600. You absolutely love to see it. This is a guy that, you know what? Not only did the Warriors get the monkey off their back last game, Steph Curry got the monkey off his back. He had a great game. It did take a juicy matchup for him to be able to do so, but you love to see it. I mean, he took advantage of it. That's where I would have been slightly more concerned. If he went out there and dropped 20 to 25, that's where I would have been like, oh man, it's either his morale, he's possibly injured. What is wrong with Steph? He goes out there, drops a cool 36. Has he been as dead-eye from behind the arc as prior into his career? No. Long layoff for him. Give him a couple games to get into it. What I do love to see, this guy has chalked up 35 threes in 3 games. You want to talk about a volume shooter? 35 threes in 3 games. When that shot starts to drop, I will be there for it.
I was going to say, there's a 9-3 game coming at some point.
Oh, yeah. And I will have him in my lineup. So I will not miss that. Tonight, he's going up against Killian Hayes. And then he comes off. Who comes off the bench? Derrick Rose. Derrick Rose hasn't played defense since the day that he came into the league.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
So, this is another matchup for him. The Bulls are bad against guards. They were great last season when they had Chris Dunn, which I talked about in our preseason overview show. Thomas Satoransky still coming back from injury. He didn't play too many minutes, and when he was out there, he wasn't lining up on Steph because he's not 100% yet. They're really bad against guards because Zach LaVine and Kobe White do not play defense. This is the exact same kind of situation for them out there in Detroit today. It's another smash spot for Steph Curry.
Is there any value in this game, or are you really just trying to grab Steph?
I'm trying to grab Steph. One of the, but there are obviously this Detroit team, man. It's unbelievable. The model, I feel like it's the Detroit model at this point. Mason Plumlee comes in at 10% ownership. Win Daily is responsible for 9.95% of that. Like this guy, Josh Jackson yesterday came in at 15 point something percent, like just over 15% on the main FanDuel tournament. 99% sure we represented 14% of that. Like this guy was, he consistently popped in the model, and so does Mason Plumlee. They're not being priced up for the production that they're doing. Mason Plumlee is quietly averaging 5 to 6 assists a game. Like this guy is turning in he's not Nikola Jokic, so don't blow my head off as I say this, but it's that type of stat line where is he gonna put up 25 points? Probably not. Mason Plumlee will not drop 25 and 20. He's not Andre Drummond. But is he gonna get you 12, 9, and 6? Oh yeah. And you absolutely love to see that at only $5,700. Everyone's paying up at center or going all the way down to a couple other value plays that we're talking about. Mason Plumlee, I'm gonna keep going back to the well. This guy is criminally under-owned every single slate. I have no problem slotting him into one of my 3 max lineups, if not my main lineup, and Josh Jackson as well at only 4,500. Whether he's coming off the bench or he's starting, he's one of few guys that can actually score on that team.
That is awesome. Shout out Josh Jackson, Suns legend. All right, let's move on. We have Boston. We have the Indiana Pacers. Pacers are actually favored by 1 point. Over under sits at a low 218.5. Anything in this game popping in the ghost head or the ghost model or the Detroit model at this point?
Domantas Sabonis, Malcolm Brogdon. If Indiana is on a slate and you do not see Domantas Sabonis, I'm not going to say and Malcolm Brogdon. I'll say at least Domantas Sabonis in my article that you can find over at windailysports.com. You guys need to call and make sure that I'm still alive and still breathing. Domantas Sabonis will be like this guy. I said it on the first day when there was 13 games. Everyone's like, "Oh my God, there's so many people." Is that I planted my flag with extreme confidence, saying that I will have over 40%. Like I think I ended up having 39.9% of Domantas Sabonis. This guy is a walking triple double, exactly the way that I talk about Nikola Jokic, and he's actually he's much obviously much closer than to Nikola Jokic than Mason Plumlee is. His court vision is just so good for a big man. Like he's out there and he sees the floor so well. He rebounds extremely well on both ends of the glass, and then on top of that, he could score whichever way he wants. He could drive through the hoop. He could roll. Like he does everything out there for them. So while Miles Turner is finally assuming his role of being that defensive center that he needs to be, he worked on his defensive game in the offseason. It's already paying dividends for this Indiana team. That's something that they need from him because at times he's looked like he's channeling his inner Hassan Whiteside and just being absolutely lost on defense there. So it really lets Brogdon and Sabonis do their thing on the offensive end. And this game has playoff type of atmosphere written all over it. Vegas has this as the tightest spread. Some books have it as a pick'em. The largest I've seen this spread is 1.5. So you already know that Vegas sees this as a tight game. These are 2 playoff teams. You know that it's going to be a tight game. Jason Tatum is all in on offense right now. Like when he was coming out of Duke, people saw how well he played on defense as well. Like they were saying this guy could be a legit wing defender as a taller 3. If not, if he plays the 4, he could somebody that could defend, 3 to 4 positions on the court. With Boston being without Kemba Walker, this guy is all offense now, all the time. Domantas Sabonis is going to be able to take advantage of him, and he's one of the secret weapons at $8,600. He's pulling close to no ownership tonight.
Close to no ownership, potential triple-double, looking to smash in a tight game. That is why we do this, people. We do this for you. I do, before we keep moving on with this game, Michael Torres has a question. DeLon Wright is projected 6x, 6 times value, which I'm assuming is in our model because duh. Do you trust it? Of course we trust it, assuming with Rose and Griffin back.
Yeah, so what you want to do with the model, just to end up explaining a little bit without giving too much away about how that it works, is that essentially every time before, and I'm in Eastern time, so shout out Sticks, who says like people think Eastern time zone or people think that the world revolves around the Eastern time zone. I'm sorry for mentioning it again, but anyways, I'm Eastern time, so an hour before lock, so at 6 p.m. it'll end up updating every 5 minutes. So that's where all the key news starts to come in. So prior to that, it updates every 15 to 20, or if I decide to manually push it, I can do that as well. But basically from there is that you want to be able to watch that thing like a hawk from 6 to 7 o'clock. For those that ended up watching it yesterday, I had it open and I'm constantly refreshing. Obviously, like that's what I'm doing as I'm building my lineups. Bogdanovic ended up squeaking up into the top 5 value plays on the entire slate at roughly 7:15, like just before 7:15 p.m., which was 15 minutes before lock. I got Bogdan at 3% ownership. It was an absolute smash play, and I absolutely love that, right? So that's where you really want to keep an eye on it. It's still processing all these Detroit minutes. I've seen it, been going over it a million times a day today. So is he going to get there at 6x? His price is still relatively cheap for somebody that, again, they don't have that many offensive weapons. But right now, I'm going to wait for it to update closer to lock as we tee up. We're about 57 minutes out now.
We're about 57 minutes out. We're going to be here with you probably for another about 15. Is there anything else from this Boston Indy game that you want to talk about?
Nothing much. If you are getting exposure to this game, you got to go Sabonis, you got to go Brogdon, and make sure that you end up getting the big names out of this one. It's going to have a playoff type atmosphere, which is going to be fun this early on in the season.
You'll love to see it. Let's move on. We have the Toronto Raptors, or the Tampa Bay Raptors now, as we like to call them. We have the Philadelphia 76ers, and the spread of this game, 1.5. Sixers by 1.5. Over under sits at 219. So again, Vegas thinks it's going to be a tight game. They think this is going to be a lot of fun. Game I definitely want to flip on at some point. Ghostman, how do you feel about this game?
Obviously, you have Kyle Lowry going to his hometown in Philly out there, so every game against them means something special for him, especially when they end up playing in Philly.
Love the narrative.
Love to see it. You love the narrative.
God
it's
damn,
narrative season. I can't wait to talk about one game in particular. There's so many narratives in one game. I was freaking out. But anyways, no Kawhi for my Raptors, obviously, to end up hitting that Game 7 buzzer-beating shot. Unfortunately, as tears are rolling down my face. But again, the one and only guy that I would consider playing for this game would be Joel Embiid. Aaron Baines is still a capable defender, but Joel Embiid is just a monster in the post. So another guy that's pulling way under 10% ownership. Guys like people end up going with the value plays. So you'll hear me mention them because I'm going to talk about them for a little bit. You'll know exactly who I'm talking about. But a lot of people are what we're doing called punting the center position, meaning they're going as low as possible to end up jamming in studs elsewhere. Leaves Joel Embiid with low ownership, and if their stud that they end up playing versus their punt, and you end up flipping the script where you end up paying up for Joel Embiid and punting another position, it could really pay dividends honestly. Like this with 10 games, ownership is going to be spread out all over the place. Joel Embiid is going to be one of those guys where I will have a ton in large field tournaments.
Very nice. And again, we have to find the leverage. It's not just about the right plays, but it's about the right plays that no one else has. That's the best part. Ghost, is Muscala even an option in cash on DK?
Yeah, so that was the guy when I'm talking about punting center. You nailed the nail in the coffin there, and that's one of two guys in particular. Look, in cash, it's fine. His ownership is extremely high to the point where, again, like you hear me talk about on the NFL stream on Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern time, where Sticks and I both talk about ownership in cash games. And you know what? You need to play the guys that are 35, 40, 50, 60% owned. Like yesterday, I didn't have a single lineup without Harden. I had 300 plus lineups. Every single one of them had Harden. Every single one of them had LeVert. Exactly like what I was saying on the show. I play exactly what I do. So you know what? Like, I'd like to say that it worked out pretty nicely. But again, these were things that whatever whatever Michael and I end up talking about on here is exactly what I end up doing in my lineup. So Muscala, it is likely going to be in my cash game lineup. Do I like it? Absolutely not. Guy blows, but he's 40 to 50 to 60% owned. I believe he's only $3,200. We're going to cover that when we get to the OKC game there. But he lets you do whatever you want with the rest of your lineup. Given the ownership and the fact that he's only $3,200, you have to do it on DK.
Sometimes you just got to do it. How about this? Toscano cash playable?
No.
Okay, that was easy. All right, let's move on. So we covered Philly and Toronto. It's going to be a tight game. Could be fun. Easy spot to get in Joel Embiid and make things a little different. Chicago and Washington. Looking at this line, I started to laugh because this is why I do it. Goes Wizards by 6.5 at home with an over-under of 237.5. Jesus Christ. 10 points more than any other game on this slate. How many players can we fit, Ghost Man?
A ton.
That's what I love to hear.
That's if you guys haven't read my article, I encourage you to go and do so because it kind of puts the thought process behind here. Obviously, we can't talk too much analytics. I don't want to end up going for 3 hours there, but all the analytics are in there in mine and Brian and Stobie's articles to be able to back up these plays. This is a game that you want a piece of, whether it's in the form of a stud of Westbrook or Beal. and then you run it back with a guy like Zach LaVine. I'm also getting shares of Washington with Thomas Bryant as well. He's somebody that's really popping on the model, specifically on FanDuel too. I mentioned a pivot to a very chalky Mitchell Robinson. Thomas Bryant's going to be my guy at the center position on FanDuel tonight for my main lineup. He's just somebody that we had him as a breakout candidate coming into the season. This is a favorable matchup for him. I always love to pick on Wendell Carter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen. On top of that, Lauri Markkanen might not even play in this game, which ends up bringing up another value play who's been popping in the model throughout the day, and that's Thaddeus Young. So the one thing that you want to end up keeping an eye on this is that is Thad Young going to be able to get cleared to play full minutes? He already got ruled in. It seemed like hours ago. I haven't seen any news regarding his minutes, but again, the model ends up adjusting for that. So if you see his projection going up or down or fluctuating, it's because we got news on the minutes. The model ends up taking that in and then adjusts accordingly, right? So if everything stays the same, all things remain equal, Thad Young is one of the key values for us tonight at only 3,700. He's likely to draw the start for Lauri Markkanen, who doesn't look like he's going to play. Again, model ends up accounting for that. So if we get news that Lauri Markkanen ends up playing, and again, this is nice because it's a game that's right at tip-off at 7 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have that news prior. It's going to be able to update. If Lauri Markkanen is in, look for Thad Young projection to drop a little bit because he's likely not getting that spot start anymore. If he does get the spot start, it's somebody that I do like to plug into my lineups.
Absolutely beautiful. Look at that. You can make an entire game out of this one. An entire game out of this one. There's value, there's studs. It's everything that we're looking for. And with an over-under of 237.5, my goodness.
Over too.
I hope so, dude. Did you take the over? Where's the juice? The juice is on the over. So yeah, that everyone else thinks it's going over too. Ghostman, you love to see it. I love to see it.
We're not here for unders. Who bets unders?
Oh, who the hell's betting the under? Rocker, are you betting the under? Yeah, you would bet the under, Rocker. Jesus. All right, let's move on. We have Milwaukee. We have Miami. We saw a fun little series out of this one not too recently, if I'm not mistaken. This game starts a little later. 7:40, I guess, is technically tipped. So 7:30, I guess, as we can call it. Bucks by 6 on the road. Over-under sits at 227. So still a nice over-under. We have Jay Butt. He is going to be out for the game. I think that's the most important one. And we have Pat Connaughton dribbling the ball. So do you want to start there with how many dribbles does Pat Connaughton have? Can we have a prop bet on that out of curiosity?
Zero in my lineups. That's for sure. I don't know about the actual game, but 0 dribbles in my lineups. That's for sure. This is a juicy game for DFS tonight. Giannis is the stud to pay up for. There are a ton of studs. Obviously, we got 10 games on tap here tonight. But Giannis is the guy. And the key thing there is that Jimmy Butler's out. Bam Adebayo is quietly one of the best defenders in the league, severely disrespected in that aspect where not a lot of people end up watching Miami games outside of last season because they ended up making that finals run. So now people are on that Tyler Hero hype train, which you're late to the party. But anyways,
you've been driving that bad boy.
You're way late to the party. But anyways, like that it is what it is. I'm happy to have you aboard now at least. But if you're on that Tyler Hero train, if you're not on it, you need to hop on that. It's already way too late. But I'll still let it slide that you hop on this late. That's okay. Giannis is the guy on this slate. No Jimmy Butler. Bam's gonna be in tough against Giannis. My one thing about Bam is that he can slide pretty well on defense, meaning that when Giannis ends up driving into the hoop like ferociously, like what he ends up doing, Bam can slide fairly well and get in front of that, but he's going to be drawing a ton of fouls, and that's a severe issue for me. If Bam gets into foul trouble, then you have Giannis going taking minutes against Kelly O and any of these other backup guys. Giannis is going to go absolutely nuclear tonight. He's somebody that will be in my main lineup, that's for sure. And I'm going to run it back with one of, if not both, guards that we're looking at, Goran Dragic and Tyler Hero. And you could also throw Duncan Robinson into that mix, specifically on DraftKings, where you end up getting plus 0.5 points for every 3 that he makes. You saw what he did on Christmas Day. This guy went, like, if he goes 7 for 10 from the field, he went 7 for 10 from 3. Like, he does not take 2-point shots. So he's somebody that has that GBP upside for tournaments. And, when you have that $20 tournament where there's nearly 60,000 people in it tonight, I believe, he's somebody that'll likely go low owned, and he's going to get a ton of minutes. Jimmy Butler's out. All 3 of them are going to have to rotate to end up shouldering the load on offense. It's something that I can't wait to see because it's exactly what Ashley, yourself, and I were talking about last time, where Miami ended up having this depth that not a lot of people realize. So I'm expecting a big game from Goran Dragic in particular. He's looked great coming off his foot injury that was really bad out there in the finals. So I'm He's somebody that I'm going to have a ton of on DraftKings and on FanDuel. You have to lock in Tyler Hero in your cash game lineups, only 4,500. And again, we're talking about that FanDuel positional eligibility. I'm trying not to dwell on it too much, but it's just really hard not to. He's slotting in at forward again. So I haven't seen him play a single minute in his entire career at small forward, but you love to see it. You get a $4,500 Tyler Hero at small forward when he's a point guard or a shooting guard, and then you get a power forward in Larry Nance at small forward for $5,500. Those are the two guys that I'm locking into my cash game on FanDuel. That's 100% certain.
Sometimes if you just listen to Ghost, they make it too easy for you. Patrick, you just joined. What picks have you made so far? Sorry, buddy. We can't do this whole thing again, but thankfully it's on YouTube. So you can just go back and rewatch it. You got nothing wrong with that. You'll be it'll be in time. We're probably going to be on here for another 10 minutes. I've been pushing the time the entire time, but Ghost has things to do. He has things to do. So we're going to need to get going with that in a minute. But before we get to these last 4 games, Ghost Man, do you know what time it is?
What time is it? 6:14.
It's okay. I'm not actually the time. It's time to thank our sponsor, Manscaped. Man, support from Win Daily is brought to you by Manscaped, who's best in the men's below the waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision engineering tools for your family jewels. They obsess over their technology developments to provide you the best tools for your grooming. Now, shaving your balls is not fun. It's not easy. It's not enjoyable unless you have a Manscaped Lawnmower 3.0. They have redesigned the electric trimmer, spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever created. And as I said, they released the new and improved Lawnmower 3.0. The 3rd generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology pioneered by Manscaped. And when I tell you it's premium, I mean premium. Battery lasts up to 90 minutes, folks. 90 minutes. So in case you haven't, done that in a while, you got enough time. I can promise you that. If you get tired, hot, or sweaty, you can hop right into the shower because that bad boy is waterproof. And it even has this cool little LED light, which you could see everything. Let me just say that. I've been thankful to Manscaped for sending me one, and my goodness, you can see everything. So let's not forget about the charging stand either. Show off your mower loud and proud because this intelligently designed stand is a convenient charging dock powered by USB. So pop that bad boy right into your work laptop. They're not going to know. If you're listening to me speak right now, I want you to experience it firsthand for yourself. Trim that junk of yours. Get 20% off and free shipping with promo code WINDAILY at manscaped.com. That is promo code WINDAILY at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com using promo code WINDAILY. Your balls will thank you. So we always appreciate that. Thank you very much to Manscaped. They are absolutely fantastic. You got to love it. We have a lineup here from Corey. Did you see this yet, Ghostman?
Curry, Hero, Jackson, Giannis, Plum Dog. See, I already know this guy is in our Discord, and I appreciate it so much.
Thanks,
because
buddy.
the fact that you call him Plum Dog, respect. You love to see it. Plum Dog, Dragic, Toscano, Anderson, $4,800 left. Yeah, I mean it works well. I'm keep an eye on Toscano Anderson's ownership as we get closer to lock here. We know that he got announced as a starter, so I'm curious to see if people flock to him. That might be a complete landmine in terms of chalk there. So if it ends up getting chalk, and I know someone asked him before about whether you could play Toscano Anderson in cash. For me, it's between him and Mike Muscala. Whoever ends up coming in higher owned, you should only play one of those guys. You shouldn't play two, because realistically those are two guys that can put up 10 DraftKings points and kind of destroy your cash game lineup. Even though they're high owned, that's a spot where you could afford to get different. So I like this lineup. Just make sure to tag one of us in Discord, and we'll be able to give you an update once I get off the show.
100%. Get in Discord, windailysports.com/chat. That way you know all of the news on who's starting, who's in, and who's out. We give it to y'all. Can you play Zion and Ingram in cash together?
Ben must have read my article. I like it. We will discuss that. That's
I love it.
I'm saving it for the end.
Fantastic. How about this one? Getting in all the questions now. Satoransky, a good play.
Is it a good play? I mean, look, he's somebody that has that GBP upside, but he has a floor of roughly 5 to 6 points. So for me, it's going to be a hard pass. When I'm chasing upside, I still want somewhat of a floor, like somebody that's at least going to be active. Satoransky isn't active enough on offense where I know that he'll find a way to get his. That's one thing. Like if you end up playing a guy, Lou Will is a good example on FanDuel, 4,600 to at the point guard position. That's somebody that, that even if he throws up a dud, you can't say, hey, I didn't take an offensive player. Like, Lou Will's out there to run backup point. You know that he's out there to run a pick and roll and end up playing offense. Whereas Satoransky is really primarily a defender. You got to hope that he gets a bunch of defensive stats. That for me is a recipe for disaster in the GPP.
It does not help. And Corey is Kabloom.
There we go.
What's up, buddy? We know a lot. Rocker says we need a manual push. Rocker, you do it yourself.
Give me 5 minutes.
Rock, come on, man. We got a couple more games. Let's do this nice and quick. God. We got Oklahoma City. We have Orlando. Let me check what this line is right now. Magic by 6. Over under sits at a low 218. Too many high scoring games. Is there anything in this one?
This game's gross.
It doesn't look like that much fun.
I mean, again, 10 games you got to apply on your flag. This is one that I very confidently checked off my list. I mean, are there some valuable plays in this? I mean, SGA is probably going to be chalk of the night if George Hill ends up getting ruled out, and this guy's like 45 years old, so he probably needs some rest. His knees are probably hurting there. Obviously, I'm kidding. He's been crushing the beginning of the season, and we have a lot of respect for George Hill, but he's old. So we saw that Al Horford's already been ruled out as well. So wouldn't surprise me if he's out there and ends up getting a rest tonight. That'll make SGA possibly mega chalk. That's a hard fade for me against Orlando. This is going to be a slow paced game, man. So I don't know. Can you play T Ross? I mean, I guess you could do a lot worse than that. Lou Dort. I mean, this guy could go 14 for 14 or 1 for 14 from the field. There's no in between Lou Dort. Anyone that's in our Discord that's watching right now, you know that I love to send that GIF where there's a guy just throwing Jason Tatum style threes where it's 5 feet to the right of the basket, and that's Lou Dort, right? So I mean, his volume is there where he could end up doing well. You could definitely do a lot worse in that range because again, when you're talking about these GPP plays, you can't say, hey, my guy didn't take a shot. Lou Dort's going to go out there and shoot 10 to 15 times, whether he actually hits a single basket or not. That remains to be seen, but hey, that's the chance that you need to take in a game like this. Personally, I'm crossing this game completely off my list.
I love it. Outside of Muscala and Cash, it sounds like not too much to get with here. Moving on, Minnesota and the Clippers, one of the later game hammers. Clippers by 10.5. Over under sits at 227. Kawhi Leonard most likely not going to play, if I'm not mistaken. And Karl Anthony Towns and one of the Morris brothers is already ruled out. Do we know about Kawhi yet?
Interesting game. We do not yet because it's the city of LA. Their game of course. Their game's at 10 p.m. So look for Kawhi news probably around 10:15. So that'll be fun. This game has a lot of appeal. All jokes aside, there. If Kawhi plays, it messes everything up completely because I don't build based on blowouts, but this one's going to get out of hand rather quickly. No Towns, he's their sole capable defender that they have out there. So for me, this game's going to be close to a hard fade if Kawhi ends up playing. If he doesn't, you need to lock in Paul George. Have a good look at D'Lo as well, D'Angelo Russell. You could play Lou Will off the bench, and of course the other center that when we were talking about Mike Muscala, they're like if you want a bit of a safer option with even higher upside as well, and that's going to be Naz Reid filling in for Karl Anthony Towns at the center position. So he's somebody on FanDuel 4,500, also a lock in my cash game lineup. Without giving away too much of the lineup there, I already said Nance Hero and Naz Reid will be in there. And by the looks of it, by the sound of it, actually, you already saw that I'll be locking in Giannis as well. So you have my 2 small forwards, you have my 2 power forwards as well. You have to take a strong look at Paul George should Kawhi not end up playing in this game. Naz Reid's also a very intriguing option filling in for Towns. Yes, Ibaka is very good defensively, but again, Naz Reid is going to be game script proof in the sense that even if this one does get out of hand, you know that he's going to get a ton of runs. So,
from our good friend James Rocker, Leonard's sister says he's playing tonight. Whatever that.
Yeah, means. I saw that on Instagram. That's
okay.
I'm curious to see if that comes to fruition or not. I feel like LA is kind of scrambling right now, saying like, how do we end up saying that this is a load management game without actually saying it's a load management game so we don't get fined? Like, can't we just
say he got smashed in the face? I feel like that's a
they might make Serge elbow him again in the face, like in the locker room or something. Just say like, oh look, he's not in good condition, he can't play tonight, right? So we don't know what's going on there. Another guy I also will have some shares of on FanDuel is Ricky Rubio. Curious to see what their starting lineup looks like. Obviously, we don't really know, given that this game's at 10 p.m. Maybe we get lucky and get it before 7, but it's highly unlikely given that it's still going to be 3 hours out.
Yeah.
He might draw the start with D'Lo with Towns being ruled out. So Ricky Rubio in the backcourt, only 5,500. Definitely someone that I will have some shares of.
Not too bad. Now let's move on. 2 more games left. We have New Orleans. We have the Suns. Suns favored by 2.5. Over us under sits at 221.5. We got the question before. Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson. Talk to me about this game.
This is my favorite game on the slate.
Oh,
by far.
Really?
Not even close. This is my favorite game on the slate for a DFS perspective. You have two. There's a bunch of stats that we end up looking for, and we're gonna have it in a future article soon enough there without giving away too much. That a couple stats that we end up looking for when targeting game environments and targeting certain players. It's like, well, how did you come up with that? You really want to understand the process in order to get better at NBA DFS, because when we're talking about it being a daily grind, it literally is a daily grind. Like the slate ends up finishing at 10 p.m. for me, not at 7, because I'm constantly thinking about late swapping. I'm constantly thinking about how do I get an advantage over somebody? Hey, like if I have somebody that's locked in at center and I know everyone's going Joel Embiid, how do I find a way to get Nikola Jokic to end up, if Jokic ends up outscoring Embiid tonight, I will have all the advantage in the world there. So the slate ends up locking for me as soon as the last game starts, because obviously you can't swap once that last game starts. And then you kind of just dive into the next slate. So you end up looking at it right away. You end up pulling up your phone and you're like, okay, who's playing tomorrow? And you just start right away. So it really is a daily grind. And to kind of understand what we look for, 2 key stats for me are defensive rating, which is pretty self-explanatory. How well does a team actually play on defense? But the most important for me is pace of play. That for me dictates which game environments I like to target, and then I will look at individual players. You can't be looking at individual players without looking at their game environment. Realistically, is Kyle Lowry? I'll use my Raptors. It's not biased. I'm just looking at the screen right now, and I have Toronto, Philly open because obviously I'm going to watch the game. So is Kyle Lowry a good basketball player? Yes. Is Fred VanVleet a good basketball player? Yeah, absolutely. Pascal Siakam, Joel Embiid, all these guys in that game. Would I take Joel Embiid over a guy like Zion on my team for this year, for one season? Yes. Long-term career, obviously. Zion, blue chip prospect, you know that he's going to have an amazing career. But for this season alone, would I want Joel Embiid over Zion or Joel Embiid over Brandon Ingram? Anyway, we'll even make it simpler, Joel Embiid over Lonzo Ball. You're obviously taking Joel Embiid. But when you're deciding between those two types of players, you really have to look at, okay, which one of these players are in a better game environment? Who will be able to really be in a pace-up environment where there will be more possessions total in the game? Meaning, how many plays are these guys actually going to run on offense? Is it going to be James Harden dribbling the ball for 23 seconds at a time, and you know that they're going to juice the entire shot clock because James Harden dribbles it for 24 seconds in a row before teeing off a shot? Or is it going to be more like these two teams where they push the pace ridiculously fast? So I love to target Phoenix games in general. They push the pace. They play absolutely terrible defense. Chris Paul is improving that defense for them, but as a unit overall, they're still bad defensively. And then you have the Pelicans, who push the pace even more than them and play even worse defense than them. That for me, you love to see it. Like, this is the definition of a game environment that I want to attack. You wanted narratives before. We were talking about, I also forgot to mention that Kyle Lowry is, I did mention Kyle Lowry is from Philly. I did mention that.
Yep.
Kyle Lowry from Philly. We had a couple other narratives drop in there. Chris Paul, New Orleans. Let us not forget.
I forgot. It's a different franchise, right? So, like, whatever.
And then you have a certain former Phoenix Sun guard that's out there in New Orleans now. Eric Bledsoe. Everybody's pissed at this guy. 3 slates in a row. He's absolutely let everybody down. Eric Bledsoe's going to go off. He had quite the preseason. He's going to take over primary ball handling duties for Lonzo Ball. And every time he lets us down, I will have a bunch of shares of Eric Bledsoe tonight. Former Phoenix Sun. He absolutely hated it there. Absolutely hated it there. He tweeted that, I want out of here.
The tweet came up on my timeline today. That was fantastic. Love it.
I want out of here. Former Phoenix Sun. Chris Paul on the other side. You want a narrative? Doesn't get any better than this game. God, we can't build lineups based on narrative alone. So again, focus on, put that stuff to the side. That's the kind of fun that we like to have in the Win Daily Discord. You saw us posting, the Tyler Hero snarl picture and this and that, right? So you have a bunch of narratives that we like to make fun of. But again, when we're talking about pure analytics, this is a game that's going to play extremely fast. There's going to be a bunch of turnovers in it because when you play fast, you turn over the ball. That's just the nature of the game. Doesn't matter how good or bad you are. When you play that quickly, you're bound to turn it over. Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson are both extremely underpriced in a matchup like this. They've both had remarkable starts this season. And you know what? Brandon Ingram seems to be like he's on a mission to end up proving to people like, hey, that most improved player award was not a fluke. I'm here to stay. This is my game now. I'm going to have a great career. And Zion is just Zion. It's self-explanatory. You know that he ended up looking a lot better throughout the summer and of course in preseason as well. This is a smash matchup for both of them. Can't go wrong with Devin Booker on the other side as well. Chris Paul, you can load up this game with all the studs.
I love it. And you can find a lot of value in that. What was it? The Chicago-Washington game, right?
Absolutely.
Chicago-Washington.
Detroit as well. There's a ton of value on Detroit side as well. OKC, if you want to go Muscala, there's Toscano Anderson that's now starting. This is when the value happens. In the next 32 minutes, that's where you end up finding those Timothy Luwawu Cabros. That's where you end up finding these Taurean Princes. That's where you end up finding these Bogdans. Load up.
You'll love it. And we just got a question in the chat before we move on to the last game, bets for today. So I think so far we're on the over in the Chicago-Washington game, even though that number is stupid high. I love it. And I think it sounds like we're definitely on the over in this Pelicans-Suns game, right? 221 sounds super low.
Absolutely.
So smash those Jesus, I have to assume. Unless it's Jesus. Pretty cool too. Last game of the night, Denver and Sacramento. Denver is favored by 2 on the road. Over-under sits at a nice 227. So a lot of fun games tonight. Should be cool. We get a little, I think Jamal Murray's okay, right? Everything's fine with him. Don't see too many questionable tags. How do you like this game, Ghost Man?
Jokic is again in a smash spot. Ended up writing him and Sabonis have been in every one of my articles whenever they're on the slate. He still to this day does not pull the ownership that he deserves. Even after the multiple 70-point performances that he's had. This guy, when I say he's a walking triple-double, it's literally in there. He's already averaging a triple-double. He's already got 2 this season. That's exactly what he does. And he has the potential to go absolutely nuclear in this matchup. Facing up against Rashawn Holmes, let's just not even talk about that. That's not even a conversation to be had. And then he's facing Hassan Whiteside. If you guys have been keeping up with the videos, my articles, anything at Win Daily at all where I got a chance to talk about Hassan Whiteside, you know how I feel about Whiteside's defense. Give me all the Jokic that I can get tonight. The one and only concern that I have about this is that he just had a great game against Houston yesterday. Guy's going to be a little bit gassed. He can take it easy tonight because they won't need him to play a full 36, 37, 38 to win this game against Sacramento. So this is where, again, you're talking about low-owned studs. If he ends up pulling the ownership that he should this have not been a back-to-back, that's where I will be underweight compared to the field. But again, if he's coming in low owned yet again because everyone's playing Mike Muscala at center or Naz Reid at center, I'm going to have a ton of Jokic because this offense is revolving completely around him right now. Maul is off to a bit of a slow start, still contributing, bit of a slow start to his standard compared to, or at least the standard that we have from now after the bubble.
Yeah, after this 50-point game.
Like that's kind of the new precedence that he set for himself, right? So getting Jokic in there is definitely a priority for me because the center position is where you can get different tonight. Everyone's plugging in Muscala. Everyone's plugging in Naz Reid. Most people might even plug in Giannis now that for some reason he's center eligible on DraftKings. Not many people are going to end up going double center in their lineups. You could get a ton of Jokic at low ownership. That's the definition of a late night hammer. Have a guy like that could drop 70 DK right at the end of the slate.
Right on the table. You'll love to see it. We have a fun game, a lot of late night hammers, which should be a lot of fun. So I'm excited. Maybe I'm going to throw in a couple lineups tonight. I'll have you look them over, Ghost Man. Don't worry. But we are here for you. We're going to be getting out of here. I know Ghost has a lot of work. He still has to do. Only 30 minutes left, people. So windailysports.com/chat. 7 free days in that expert Discord chat. You can ask Ghost. You can ask Adam. You can ask Brian. You can ask Toby. You can ask Rocker questions. I wouldn't expect an answer, but you can ask him questions all in there. 7 days for free. windailysports.com/chat. Thank you so much to Manscaped. Manscaped.com. Promo code WINDAILY. 20% off. Free shipping. Lawnmower 3.0. You're going to love it, people. You are going to love it. I promise you that. And our last thing, $150 for the entire NBA season, 7 months over at windailysports.com. All the projections that Ghost's been talking about, that Discord, all those articles, all of it. $20 a month. I promise you will make you more money than that. So for Ghost, for myself, for everybody over here at the HNB Media TV family, everybody in the chat, we always appreciate each and every one of you. Go make it a very profitable night in the NBA.